thank you.
Thank you.
John, if I may call you that. Oh, hi to those people over there. How are you? Thank you, I appreciate it. Hey, everybody. You know, let's get this part out of the way, as I always like to do. If you want to take a photo, let's do it now.
Modeling the latest in European fashions, ladies and gentlemen, it's Brent Spiner.
Thank you. We got enough? Yeah. What about over here? Do you want to take a... Yeah. You want a close-up? Is that right? That lens, you're down my... Well, never mind. All right. How about over here? Did you guys get a photo? Let me... Sort of out of breath now. Hi. Okay. All right, done. Thank you. Thank you. Hold that picture. Get that picture back up. Yeah, there was a picture of me back here. Crazy, haven't changed a day. All right, so shall we sit, or do you prefer to lay down?
I'd like to lay down.
Don't get any ideas. It's a joke, you know. All right. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
So then what I was saying was,
As he paused reflectively.
so, John. Right. What do you got for me?
Well, I thought maybe we could start with some, I don't know, how does it make you feel to reprise Dr. Soom's role, or a relative thereof?
I'd rather not talk about that.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's 10 minutes gone.
Do you guys, over there, is there monitors or something? You can actually see my... Yeah. Oh, good. Where is it?
Two of them.
Oh, and over there, there's one, too. Technology. Yeah. So, what a nice room this is. Wow. What was your question again, John?
We could go start with Star Trek Picard and how great it is to reprise Data and a relative of Dr. Soom.
Well, John, I'd rather not talk about that. No, you know, what was it? How great it is? Or
Well, okay, how does it make you feel?
Oh, how does it make me feel? Cliche. It makes me feel like a motherless child. No, it makes me feel, it doesn't make me feel anything. It's a really good job. And it makes me feel happy because I'm working, you know, and which I like to do. Not everybody enjoys working, but, you know, well, I won't tell that story. That's too personal. But well, no, I can't. But yeah, it's. Do I reprise? I don't reprise Dr. Soom, did I? I'd never played
relative.
Oh, a relative.
Yeah,
but
it's
two
an ancestor.
relatives. I don't want to spoil anything. Have you already seen the show? You've seen both seasons? Have you seen the third season? Because I'd love to know what happens. No, it was great. It was really fun. It's always fun because I get to hang out with my friends. And in this case, you know, none of us thought we were going to actually be part of the Picard series. Actually, Patrick didn't think we were either. But I kind of knew I was because he told me what the first season was about, and so I was happy to be a part of it because we had some great talent working on that show. I mean, Michael Chabon, maybe the best novelist in the world today, and he was our showrunner and head writer in the first season. Kiva Goldsman in the second season, he, you know, Oscar winner for A Beautiful Mind. I mean, who could say no to that? Plus, the cast, the newer cast of Picard, who were on the first, second season, were just terrific, really great people, and my favorite, Alison Pill, who's really one of the best actresses in the world, I think, and I worked with her when she was 14. We did a TV movie when she was 14, and I think I was 17, something like that. And what? Yeah. But so it was great to work with her again. She's amazing, and all of them were. They're just great folks and really terrific actors.
Was there any challenge getting back into the Star Trek mindset?
No. No, it really wasn't. I mean, it was surprising when we first started. One of the first things we did was the opening sequence where Patrick and I were sitting across from each other playing checkers. Was it checkers? It's so long ago, I know. Challenging. Was it? I don't think it was. Does anyone remember? What were we playing in that?
Poker.
Poker? Was that what we were playing? Oh, there were chips, that's right. Catch-up chips, as I recall.
Canadian production.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it was poker, exactly. And when we were sitting there, we looked at each other and we went, this is both weird and completely natural all at the same time. There was no distance. It was like we finished the day before and then started again, you know, I don't know how many, 20 years, something like that.
I guess that's a testament to the caliber of acting. So what was it like working with John Delancey again?
I've never cared for him. No, actually, I love working with John. John's just a great actor, and loved the scene that we had together, particularly in the second season of Picard. It was just great, and Jonathan was directing, so it couldn't be any better. And yeah, no, I love John. I actually worked with John before either of us were on Star Trek. We did an episode of The Twilight Zone. I don't know if I have any lines. I think I might have had a line or two, but it was a great gig because, and I didn't meet John, but he was in the episode and so was I. But I remember we started shooting and I had a precious tiny little part. And the director, who happened to be the producer of the show, it stormed. We had an odd rainstorm in California that lasted for days. And so they had to hold us for days and pay us every day. And we were like, this is, may it rain forever. It was great. But I remember John from Days of Our Lives. And do you remember Days of Our Lives? Yeah. Eugene, he was fantastic. I remember watching that show and going, this guy is changing daytime television because he was playing it for comedy, and nobody else had ever done that. They played super serious, but he was really funny and excellent. He and Arlene Sorkin, who played with him, were just fantastic.
So as you got into that groove with each other, were there any little jokes or little tricks that you used to play on each other? And I'm asking this from a position of inside knowledge.
Oh, really? Yeah, no, we never had jokes. We were a very, very serious bunch of actors who just wanted to ply our craft. And, tell me what you know, because...
Well, I remember interviewing with Jonathan Frakes, and he would tell me about some of the jokes that we used to play on each other, like shifting water bottles or changing props up and things like hiding props was a big thing. Was anything like that happen?
I don't remember any of that. I really don't. I know it seems, that we were probably practical jokers, but we really weren't. I mean, everyone was funny. To a person, they were really funny. And we were laughing all day long because we were in a room that didn't have any windows, lots of rooms that didn't have windows. And we would have gone mad if we tried to be really serious. And so we were wild. We were just a raucous, laughing, wild bunch. And we were reprimanded for it several times.
How do you reprimand a cat for having fun?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because I'm so glad she's doing that. Thank you so much for doing that. Yeah. That's not what I said. No, but seriously, that's fantastic. And yeah, I'll tell you what happened. We had a director who was a really good director. And what would happen is we'd be loud and laughing and joking about things, and then they would say, okay, we're rolling, and we have speed and action. And generally, I mean, early on, it was we would stop with the noise when they said, okay, we're rolling. But as time went on, it got all the way to we have speed, which is sound is coordinated, and then we'd stop. And by the time this guy directed, it got all the way to action before we stopped, and he couldn't take it. And he went to Rick Berman, our producer, and he said, incidentally, we're trying to get Rick to come do these things because he has knowledge that we don't have. And there's talk, we're trying to talk him into it. I think he wants to do it, but I think he's a little nervous about it, but I think we're going to get him to do it. And I know he's going to have some really interesting things to say. I mean, not as interesting as me, but he will. Yeah. So this director went to Rick and said, I can't ever come back and direct this show. I mean, these guys are just wild. And so he called us all into a meeting in Patrick's ready room, in the captain's ready room. And he said, you know, this is a really good director, and you guys have just pushed him to the edge. And he's saying he's not going to come back anymore. And Denise Crosby, who was with us at the time, said, oh, come on, Rick, we're just trying to have some fun. And Patrick went, fun? We're not here to have fun. I've never been so embarrassed in my life. And, you know, it was like, oh my God. And everybody got really quiet, and Jonathan was crying. It was weird. And so they all said, okay, we'll behave. And later on, that same day, it happened to be the episode where Denise, Tasha Yar met her demise in a pool of Metamucil, and which it actually was, I think. And we had lunch, and then we had the wake, or the funeral ceremony, and it was this beautiful bucolic hill, and Patrick gave a beautiful speech, and Data's left, not feeling anything. And we're getting ready to rehearse it, and Patrick's on the hill by himself. And all of a sudden his arms go out, and he starts whirling around, and he goes, "My hills are alive!" and from that point on, he was as bad as we were. And, we broke him down, but it worked.
If I can ask you to take a little bit of a time trip and go back to season 4, episode 11, Data's. I love the fact that somebody just went, "Oh yeah," and that's Data's day.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And if you can maybe tell us how that went for you. I mean, all the focus was on Data's character,
as it should be.
As it should be.
And I love that episode. I mean, it's just. There was one thing I wanted them to do. I've never seen it, but I don't remember if this was a part of it, but it seemed to me that Data had quarters in a bed. And you think, did Data sleep? I mean, he should have just been on the bridge by himself in the middle of the night, and because, but anyway, they did all kinds of fun things. I think that was the marriage of Keiko and
Chief O'Brien.
Yeah.
And Chief O'Brien. I still think that Rosalind and Colin are married in real life. And then of course we had the dance that Gates, Gates was a real choreographer, and as she'll tell you, and well, she really is though, or was, and she choreographed the whole dance routine that we did. She's a really good tap dancer, as am I, and people have asked through the years, in that dance, is that all you? And yes, it was just completely me. Are they buying it? Yeah, no, a lot of it was me. There was one sequence that was not me, which was shot from overhead, and the guy was whirling around and around and around and around. I don't do that because I get really dizzy, but that was Gates doing it. She's a real deal. Yeah.
So let's talk about Night Court. Do people still come up to you about Bob and Julie Wheeler?
Yeah, I still get, it surprises me that people, I see a guy there going, what's Night Court? But yeah, I know, Night Court was how many years ago? That was at least 36, 37 years ago.
The 80s, yeah.
Yeah, because we started on Star Trek 35 years ago, something like that. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, very.
And crazy how well, it's not here, but I haven't changed a day. I don't understand. Anyway, yeah, Night Court. People do come up, and people come to, when I'm signing autographs, people come up to me and say, do you have any Night Court photos? And I don't, because we were shooting in film, there was no digital, and so trying to do copies now is just impossible. They look horrible. But they're doing a new Night Court. John Larroquette is the executive producer or the producer of the show, and he of course plays Dan Fielding, which he played in the original Night Court. I had somebody contact him and ask if maybe I could come play my character again. And he said, well, if you want to play Grandpa Wheeler, we're glad to have you. And I said, I'd love to play Grandpa Wheeler, but they have to write an episode for me, and they haven't done that. But hopefully they will at some point. But I knew, if you watch the show, I knew Harry Anderson before we did the show, and I really knew Charlie. What was Charlie's name? Charlie Robinson, yeah. Charlie Robinson and I got our equity cards, which was our union cards, at the Houston Music Theater in the chorus when we were both 18, maybe something like that. So it was ironic that I wound up on the same, TV show that he was on. But that happens, it's crazy how small circles are sometimes. I went to high school, at a high school in Houston, Texas called Bel Air High School. And I had a teacher who was a great, great teacher named Cecil Pickett, phenomenal gentleman who just launched so many people because he believed we all had, he handpicked the people he wanted in his plays and gave us a feeling that we had something to offer. And it was so much value for us. And but I was in my drama class in high school was Randy and Dennis Quaid were in my classes, and a guy named Tommy Schlamme, who was my best friend. And Tommy co-created The West Wing with Aaron Sorkin, and so and then when I came to do Independence Day, there was Randy, and we had worked together since high school. But it's just amazing the way the circles go. Yeah.
So how did you land the role of Bob Wheeler?
Well,
How did that happen?
Well, it was an audition, like any other audition. I had done this character when I was a kid. I called him Elmo, but because I'm from Texas, as I mentioned, and I used to go with my friends to a Denny's or something, and we'd go in, and the waitress would come, and I'd say, I'd like a tall boy Schlitz and a piece of pumpkin pie. And so when the audition came up, I thought, I wonder if I can do Elmo. And I went, and I did, and they gave me the part. And it was like, wow, incredible.
So before we turn the time over to the audience, we have to talk about fan fiction.
Yeah.
So can you take us through that? And I just heard some applause.
Who wants that?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you. Did you hear that? The audio book was also amazing, she said. What was the audio book was? Oh, thank you. Yeah, I wrote this book called Fan Fiction. It's what was a pandemic thing, you know. It was there was no acting work, and a literary agent came to me and said, "I'd like you to write. You know, can you write a memoir? Because memoirs sell really well." And I said, "I don't really want to write a memoir." And he said, "Why not?" I said, "What am I going to say? You know, I played first base in Little League. You know." And he said, "Well." And I said, "Listen, I have another idea for a book, actually, that I'd like to write." And I told him the story. He said, "You sure you don't want to write a memoir?" And I went, "No." But I said, "I can weave some truth of my life through it, but I'd like to tell this story primarily." Bless you. And he said, "Well, write a proposal, and we'll pitch it and see if you know, one of the publishers buys it." And fortunately, Macmillan, St. Martin's Press at Macmillan said, "Yeah, we like this." So I wrote the book, and I wrote it with a wonderful woman named Jeannie Darst. And who's read it here? Okay, so it's 3 people. So it's selling like hotcakes, really. And how many people, before I mentioned it, have even heard about it? Okay, 5. Well, what are you doing? You applauding me? Thank you. Have you read it? No. Oh, you're going to? How many people here are going to read it? Oh, there we go. Sure. Thank you. But I think you'll enjoy it. I call it a memoir because it's a thriller. It's a black comedy. It's fiction. It's true. It's everything to everyone. And but who's read it here? Tell me one. Did you like it?
I loved it.
I loved it, she said.
What time period?
It takes place in I think the 3rd season of Next Generation. 4th season. Thank you. Well, you know, she's read it more recently than I have. But yeah, it takes place in the 4th season of Next Generation, and my friends Patrick and Jonathan and LeVar and Dorn, everybody are in the book, and as is Gene Roddenberry and several other people, and I think you'll enjoy it. Certainly, if you enjoy the show, you'll enjoy the book. If you don't enjoy the show, you'll still enjoy the book. I think you may enjoy the book even more than the show. So, anyway, it's on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and Audible. The what do you call that? A book on
Audiobook.
I hear you. You don't all have to say it. You know what? It was like audiobook. Idiot. And I agree. But yeah, no, the audiobook, I narrated the audiobook, and it has a really nice bit of, you know, music and sound effects and stuff. They did a beautiful job in producing it. And Patrick and Jonathan and LeVar and Gates and Marina and Dorn all did their voices on it as well. So it's a lot of fun. If you have, I think it lasts 7 hours or something. So if you're on a long trip, or even if you go on several shorter trips, you'll enjoy listening to it. I'm not trying to sell this book right now. You know, don't buy it. It means nothing to me. Well, The thing is, I'd like to write another one, and I don't think the publishers are going to want to do it unless this one makes a profit.
Okay, well, everybody has their instructions. Go to Amazon.com and look for fan fiction.
Let me just look and see if anyone's bought it since I started talking. All right. Oh, you did?
There you go.
Well, there you go.
Damn, I'm good.
This thing is going through the roof.
All right. Okay, at this point, let's turn the time over to the audience. We have a microphone that's set up in the aisle. I've been asked to remind people to please refrain from touching the microphone. And when you're finished, just grab a seat so the next person can get to their question.
Hi. So first part of my question is more of a statement, and I'd like to say that I think a sign of a great actor is someone who can act against himself. And so you've done that numerous times.
I have.
And I was wondering if there are any challenges specifically when acting against yourself?
Well, I mean, there's a time challenge because you have to change clothes. Generally. I mean, sometimes the character's wearing the two characters are wearing the same thing, and then you just like turn around. And sometimes the makeup changes, and you know, it really is about time. But any challenge is offset by the opportunity to work with my favorite actor. Hey.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
What's that?
How are you doing today?
I don't think that's any of your business.
No. I just wanted to...
I'm doing good, thank you. Thanks for asking.
I just wanted to thank you for being a part of an amazing series, Star Trek, because my mother over here introduced me to it, Next Generation, and my grandmother introduced me to Night Court, and Bob Wheeler was one of my favorite characters.
Oh, thank you so much.
But my question is, when people yelled, when cut was called on Next Generation, was there a mad dash for the bathroom?
When what was called?
Cut. Like,
cut.
Scene done. Was there a mad dash?
I can't really remember that. You know, we were younger then, so it wasn't that urgent, really.
So true.
Glad you can handle it, though.
Have you heard about my book, by the way? Your mother's heard about it, I know.
Evening, Brent.
Hi.
So I was wondering, since you first dipped into voice acting, like with Puck and Gargoyles, way back when, I was wondering what that first experience was like for you and how that carried over into future voice roles like Conan or the Joker later on.
Well, you know, I really enjoyed voice acting because you can wear your own clothes. You can wear your pajamas, you know. You really don't have to shave. You don't have to do anything. You just get in your car and go to the studio and roll in, say your lines, and you're out of there. So it's all, I've been really lucky. I've done a lot of it, surprisingly a lot. And I've played the Joker several times now in different venues, and I've been different kinds of Jokers. Because the first time I played the Joker was on Young Justice, and he was a really evil, dangerous Joker. But I played it more comic Joker too. I did this thing for Showtime. Do you know about that? It's Batman the something. I don't watch or listen to anything I do, but you should. It was like a radio show. Jeffrey Wright plays Batman, and John Mulaney is the Riddler, and it's a really great cast. Ike Barinholtz is in it, and all kinds of people. And I play the Joker, and we did a season that finally aired on Showtime. I think they did like stills, but because it was a radio play. I mean, it was several chapters of a radio show. It was a podcast, really. And then, anybody hear that? Very popular. Do you know about it? No, you just wanted to raise your hand. Well, that's true. Barely. No, I think you can find it on well, Google it, you know, or it's on YouTube or something. I'm sure it exists that you can listen to it. And I know it was worth it to Showtime, who produced it, because we just finished doing a second season. So, yeah, the first thing I did was Puck on Gargoyles, which great series. Greg Wiseman, who created that series, is still just, well, I did Young Justice, Batman for him, the Joker for him, and then I did the Joker for him again a couple of times on, what is that bunch of guys that are superheroes? The Justice League. A little show. And then I did a voice for Star Wars, which I'm not sure what Star Wars is. Is that I've never listened to it, but it was a Star Wars Rebels, and that again was Greg Weisman, and so he's a really creative guy. He's got a new Gargoyles comic book coming out soon, so right after you buy the book. Yeah.
Thank you for your time, Mr. Spiner.
My pleasure, thank you. Hi.
Hi.
Max?
Yeah, I'm back for the fourth time.
Well, you know what, we're on a first name basis now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I know that, I've been dying to ask this question. I know that Data and Spot were a really sweet pair on the show, but I wanted to know what it was like, because I know cats are very finicky creatures.
Yeah.
What was it actually like interacting with Spot's actor or actors on the show?
Spot, well, first of all, did you know Spot was not, there was a dog inside of a cat suit. So little dog, and they put him in a cat suit of both genders. They wanted to try that out. And no, I'll tell you what, Spot, there were 3 Spots through the series. They were all wonderful cats, beautiful, sweet cats. None of them could act a lick. They were the worst actors I've ever worked with. Well, there was Dorn, but I think that. No, I'm kidding. Michael's wonderful, but the writers were so perverse because they would write things that a cat couldn't possibly do, and just to make me crazy, because literally when I'd get a script and I'd open it up and there'd be a scene with Spot, my stomach would turn over, because I knew we'd be there all night long, because the cat couldn't do it. And I think in all the years they only did one thing, wrote one thing that the cat could do. They wrote a scene, said, Data feeds Spot cat food in a tuna in a can, and Spot ate the tuna first take, and that was the only time. But wonderful cats, though. As cats, yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Max. Hiya.
Hey, Brent. Grew up watching you in the 90s, probably the only quality time I got with my dad.
Wait, say that again?
Grew up watching you in the 90s. The only quality time I got with my dad was actually watching you on TNG.
Well, that's sweet, and I appreciate that.
Can you actually say hi to my dad, Gord? He couldn't make it. He's homesick, but...
No. Because, I don't really need quality time with him. No, wait. Are you just going to turn it around and face have it face... What's his name, Gord?
Gord, yeah.
Like in Gordon?
Gord.
Only you call him Gord?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Gord? Gordo? Gord man? How you doing? Now, he doesn't answer me, right? Is that the game?
No, this is a pre-recorded.
Oh, it's a recording. Did you want to make a film?
No, okay, question though. As an actor, what was it like to see such a poetic end to Data on TNG?
To see what?
Like a poetic ending to
A
Data.
poetic ending.
Yeah.
Well, as I say, I don't watch the show, so I didn't see it. But
You've been playing the character for 30 plus years.
You know what we did? I loved what was written and what we played. It was a wonderful. We did it in a day. It took all day to do that scene, and it was written by Michael Chabon again, who is a great novelist and a great writer. And both Patrick and I found that scene really satisfying to play. Yeah, it was great. But let me say one other thing, and seriously, when you say that the show afforded you the opportunity of some quality time with your dad, that's so meaningful to all of us, because just to know that's one of the ancillary things of doing the show, and there are several wonderful things that happened for us that we became aware of, because our objective was to entertain. It was to make an entertaining show. That's it. We're actors. We just wanted to entertain you. But it turns out that it actually had impact in ways we never imagined. And that's one of them, that people were, I've spoken to so many people who said, that was what our family bonded around watching Star Trek. And we just appreciate that so much and find it so moving. So, Gordy, we love you.
I loved you in Night Court, by the way.
Hi.
Hi there. So I just want to say, for me, I'm really glad that you've come back, because the last time you were here, we accidentally missed you, and I've never lived it down. So thank you for coming back.
Gosh.
And your presence is so enjoyable, and you're so funny. And,
thank you.
And yeah, it's just great. So, but my question is, we always ask, especially the Star Trek actors, what kinds of things they kept as a souvenir for any kind of memorabilia, and kind of have a list. So,
well, I'll tell you what, we weren't really encouraged to take anything.
A lot of people have mentioned that. Yeah, stealing is usually involved.
Yeah, you can be arrested for that, and we, the last episode of the series, I said to one of the producers on the show, could I have one of my uniforms? Because they had 15 and 17 uniforms that were made just for me. And she said, no. And I said, why? They have my name in them. And she said, they belong to Paramount Pictures. They don't belong to you. I said, okay.
So can you admit to what you snuck out with them?
What?
I said, will you admit to what you snuck out with them?
Well, let me just say this. So we all agreed to meet after the last shot at a restaurant that a friend we knew about, that a friend of Jonathan's owned. And one by one they came in. Finally, Jonathan walked in his uniform. And then Gates walked in her uniform, and I thought, man, I'm an idiot. So when we were making one of the movies, I walked out in my uniform. And it wasn't, I regret it wasn't one of the uniforms from the series. It was one of the film uniforms, but still. But it encouraged me to take other things.
That's a great story, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey Brent,
Hi.
I'm Will, and I'm here with my sister, and you and the crew are definitely our heroes. And I have a short intro to my embarrassing question here. Well, my question's not embarrassing, the intro is. I was in LeVar's panel, and he refused to tell any stories about you. But I met a lovely linguist there who was very nice, and I wish I could continue that conversation with her, but we're going separate directions. So if you're here, I would love to chat with you at the back after this panel. And in that spirit...
I mean, I'm kind of a matchmaker, aren't I?
So in that spirit, I would love to hear a story of you and LeVar, or feeling that you and one of the other cast members that maybe is a little embarrassing.
Something embarrassing?
Or at least fun.
You mean more than this moment right here? Nothing embarrassing that I could... Did LeVar tell us an embarrassing story?
He refused. He said it was too embarrassing.
He said it was too embarrassing to even tell. I'll tell you what, if you read my book, And those of you who have read the book know what I'm talking about. LeVar and I discovered something very early in the book that I can't even talk about publicly.
I'll read it.
And you know what? I'm so hopeful for you, and I hope you'll name the first child Brent. Okay. And I want to say to that young woman, if you're here, I just want to give you one piece of advice. Run. As fast as you can.
Hi, Mr. Spiner.
Hey.
I was going to ask about the origin of Bob Wheeler's voice, but you covered that earlier, so that was great.
Yeah.
And I would really like to see him make some kind of cameo appearance in that reboot. That would be just out of this world to see him again and whatnot. But
I'd love to do it.
Yeah. I was also curious though, like when you're doing voice acting, particularly for like the Star Trek video games and stuff like that, how do you, I don't know, like I know you probably do like most of this stuff, it's like sent to you, you do it at home, it's recording, you send it in or whatever, especially during like, you know, COVID times and stuff like that. So like, how do you get yourself like geared up to do something like that when you're just there by yourself and you don't have any other thing around you to really bring it together? Do you get into the games? Do you try them or look at them or anything like that? Or
no. No, really, I've never played a video game, I don't think, in my life. I mean, I know people enjoy them. I don't know why, but no, I know they're fun, but it's just not my thing. I'm slow. I like to read, and those things are just too fast. But no, I've never been alone by myself recording something. Other than an audition.
Well, yeah, okay. Yeah,
you know,
I see what you mean, yeah.
Like the whole, you know.
But you don't have all the other actors there, and you don't have, you know, like scenery and stuff like that, you know. So.
Right. No, you have to imagine that.
Yeah,
and that's pretty easy, really, because you know we've spent our careers imagining things, particularly on Star Trek, because we, you know, on the bridge, we would talk to all these, you know, different creatures and races and people and from other planets, and really we were just looking at a big green screen.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So you're looking at them and you're talking to them and a lot of people try to actually imagine what that person looks like and sounds like and really gets into. I just like to look and pretend, just get lost in the green. You know? I used to teach a class on the set called Spining, and it was how you play to a green screen. I said, don't think about anything, just look at it and just get into the green. And, you know.
It's good to know, yeah.
Yeah,
also,
you should try it.
Great to hear that you did a character in Gargoyles. I had no idea about that, but I watched that religiously for all the. I think there was 2 seasons of that, but
I don't know. But do you remember me on that?
No.
You don't remember. So
yeah, that's why I said I'll have to go back and check it out and see exactly what character you were on that. Yeah.
Right. Do you remember Puck?
Yeah. Oh, okay. You were Puck.
Yeah. Was he your favorite?
No, I can't say you were
not really.
But you got a great voice. I'll give you that. You know,
thank
I
you.
love hearing your voice in all the games.
Thank you so much.
And I think this has to be the last question.
Oh, I'm so sorry for.
And that's why I say it.
Oh, this guy. Let's make it 2, because that guy really deserves something for.
All right, here we go. Speed.
Making a fool of himself.
Speed round.
Yeah. Yes.
Hey, Brent.
Hey.
So Leonard Nimoy, you know, during interviews had said that he really struggled with, you know, going long days of shooting and not being able to show emotion. And obviously, Data character, kind of similar in that way. Obviously, you're a very animated, outgoing individual. Is that something that you struggled with, that after a long day of shooting, you really felt like you had to let loose and get it all out? And did you really struggle at first with, while you were acting, you know, toning down all the emotion and not showing, really being very expressive when you were first starting to play the character?
Not really. You know what? I hardly ever thought about it because I just had this, there was this sort of symbiotic relationship that I had with the audience. where they would paint the emotion on me, whether I was feeling anything or not. And they kept writing data saying, but I have no feeling, or I do not feel, or whatever. And it didn't matter. The audience would write me and say, oh, I could see you were feeling something in that scene. And I go, great, I don't have to do anything. They're doing it for me. But no, it didn't, it really didn't drive me crazy at all. It was the character. That's what you play. You play what, you try to illuminate the script as best you can. So, plus I'm a very sedate person in real life.
Right,
and,
yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't a stretch at all.
Not at all, yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
All right, wait, this guy gets
you want this one?
finish
Okay.
the day, yeah.
Super quick.
Yeah.
Actually, linked to the last question is, I was curious what it was like working with Leonard Nimoy when he appeared, and I guess in the years since, what it was like working with him.
Well, we only worked together briefly in, what was that? There were 2 episodes.
Unification.
What was it?
Unification.
1 and 2.
No, 1. Yeah, reunification. That was great. And I knew Leonard, and he'd always been really, really nice to me. The whole cast, the original cast, to a person, has always been great. And I've known them all, and feel very fortunate to know them all because they're terrific. And Leonard, I did a couple of things with Leonard subsequently. I mean, he produced a TV series called Deadly Games that I did an episode of, and I would just we would see each other at conventions and things like that, and so working with Leonard was always fun. He was a great guy.
Thank you.
Yeah. All the best, Ben. Good luck.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together. Say thank you, Brent. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Find the book.